Hey everyone, let's try the travel thing again. Today is a travel day. Thursday, I'm on vacation and I'm going to Rügen, which is an island in the Baltic Sea. And I can get there by train. It takes about 5 to 6 hours. And I'm stressed out. I booked a train with a fixed price because it's cheaper, but that means I can only take that train. But then I noticed that it's stressing me out that I only gave myself 10 minutes transition time from the train that takes me from Hanover to Hamburg, and then in Hamburg I have 10 minutes to take the train that takes me to the island. And it's stressing me out. And then the train got cancelled from here to Hamburg. And then it got reinstalled. And then yesterday all day they were delayed because of some track repairs. And today the first message I got was that the train has a broken part or something. So I was stupid booking that train that gives me only little transition time. So now I booked an extra train, taking an hour early to Hamburg to get there and have an hour to change the train. So with all delays and everything happening, I should get the train from Hamburg to Binz. And that's the part. If I'm on that train, I think I'm good. Then I only have to stress about the hotel and everything else. But I'm hoping that it will be relaxing, that I'm going to read a lot. There will be apparently a spa in the hotel and it's right next to the beach. The weather is not beach weather. I mean, right now it's sunny, but it's supposed to rain all day and it's 10 degrees. So I have no clue what I'm going to do. I made it to the hotel and I don't know. It looks a little bit smaller than I expected, but that's okay. I made it here. It's a little bit more posh than I thought. So who knows? Next time I should probably check better what I'm booking. Anyways, the train trip was exhausting as expected, but I managed everything. And I noticed a fun thing. Nobody notices and can see that you're all stressed out. From the outside, everybody thinks you're fine. Yes. I listened to audiobooks the whole way here. So I finished on the train from Hanover to Hamburg, the last hour I had left in Days of Distraction. And I really enjoyed that. The book is following or narrated by a young Chinese-American woman who works as a journalist in a tech magazine, in a tech review context in San Francisco, I think, on the West Coast. She's in her early 20s. She's about to find herself starting her career. So it's a lot about her personal life and her career. So we start off in San Francisco working at this company where she tries to get a raise and is always overlooked or told to wait later, and it's stressful right now. We get a lot of insight in that. We also get a lot of insight in her relationship to her white American boyfriend, who is a PhD in something biology. She doesn't really know either, so nothing bad in me not remembering the details. But anyways, he's about to start his PhD program and applying for schools in the beginning of the book, and it's very clear from the get-go that they're moving away from the city, and she will probably move with him because they've been together, I think, 5 years or so, and they're planning to stay together and live together and not be apart and do the long distance thing, especially since it looks like West Coast and East Coast. So there's also a lot of talk about that. And I feel the beginning is all in San Francisco about their relationship and a lot about her work situation and less about the interracial problems, more about the non-diversity or lack of diversity at work and less chances that she has or how she's treated at her job. Then when they move to the town where he finally gets a spot, things change a little bit more because she stops working for that company that she worked before, does some freelance, and really ends up working less and less and less. And is addressing that, how she feels about that, how she feels about going with him as the attached wife, and how there's a lack of diversity in the town where they end up going, and how she feels there. And we feel the story moving a little bit more into the direction of their interracial relationship, how that is connected and how that affects her differently than him and the stressors that come up. There's also, aside from that, some family background of her family and a little bit of his, but mostly her family. She keeps calling her dad, who's currently living in China, and I really think that is funny. I always like those episodes. And then there's also a lot of factual, historical insertions of Chinese immigrations, quotes from magazines, also comments on laws concerning Chinese immigration and interracial marriage and all these things. In the book, you can tell that the more she does research on the topic, the more she gets looking at her own relationship and at her own life in a little bit from a different perspective. It is described as a coming of age novel, and I can definitely tell that you can see she's trying to find herself. She's trying to figure out where she's at, what she wants, where she sees herself in her career, in her life. And it's not like it ends on we have a bubble ending and everything is perfect. It's more, okay, we've moved onwards and things like that. I really enjoyed that. What I noticed after I finished listening to the book was that I would have liked to reread just the actual or historical facts, the data that was not related to her personal story. But as I listened to it, and it was an extra chapter, but parts of the other chapters and just inserted in there in some way, I couldn't really do that. So that would be a bonus of the book, or probably the physical book for me, because I don't like flipping back and forth in ebooks. So that would be something that I would have liked to do, but since I listened to it, I can't do it. But overall, I really enjoyed her writing style. I really enjoyed the narration. I really enjoyed the mix of personal story and historical parts, and also their story in general, like how her personality shone through. And it's not all that she's the good person and he's the bad person. It really feels real and authentic, and I like that. Since I finished that in Hamburg already, I spent the rest of the train ride listening to, I forgot it already, the title, Magical Overthinking something. The Age of Magical Overthinking. It's a non-fiction. I thought it was more addressing overthinking, but it's relating cognitive biases more to nowadays social culture and personal anecdotes of the author. And I really enjoyed that. It feels well researched, quite a lot of the facts I've heard about before, but I like how she puts them in connection to her own personal experiences and also in a modern or nowadays situation context, how we are with social media, where we are, a lot of examples of recent events. The book, I think, just came out last month, definitely this year. So it is referencing in the first chapter all about fandoms and the halo effect. Definitely Taylor Swift and her Eras tours and the troubles with the ticketing and things there. So it's very recent events that she references that might become less interesting in a few years to come. But for now, I really liked it. I couldn't sum up anything of what that was because it was a lot of information in very short notice. Like I said, listening, sometimes you get the information, but it's harder to take notes for me and also to really underline things, which is doable in this book. It is, I wouldn't say superficial, but it is very easy to read and accessible. So, which is nice because cognitive biases sometimes can sound very boring, but I really enjoyed the writing style. I enjoy the narration of the audiobook. I have about an hour left, so I'm going to finish probably today because now I'm going to go for a walk and see if I can find the beach. Friday morning. Yesterday, I had a little bit of a dip in all the excitement and all the stress. So after I arrived, I went for a walk at the beach and it was very nice and sunny, which was good. But it was basically me stress walking, wondering why I'm doing this to myself, why I'm forcing myself to travel and making myself go to places where I wonder, do I really want to go here? Now, all of this needs to be seen in the context of the stress of the traveling and the disappointment in the hotel room. Now, I had expected that I could sit in here if I don't know anything else to do, and if it's raining like it's today, that I just sit here comfortably and read. But the room doesn't feel comfortable to read in. It's rather oppressive. It's not as small as other rooms I stayed in, but it's also not big. I'm also a little bit disappointed that I can't stream onto the TV. So I can't watch Netflix on TV. And I had thought of spending evenings here continuing series that I hadn't finished. And I keep meaning to, but never get to. And the idea of watching TV from my bed is just a holiday idea, because at home I can't do that on purpose, because no electricity in the bedroom for the constantly sleep deprived person, which is another thing. There's too much electricity in this room, so I awfully slept, or slept awfully. Well, that happens. Maybe I'll sleep better tonight after I've switched a few things around. Anyway, so yesterday I went onto the walk. It was really nice outside. I got to think a little bit, and I also got to rethink what I want to do with traveling in the future. I definitely need to pay more attention to the hotels or accommodations I go to, because if there's one thing I noticed since I arrived here is that there's thousands of accommodations in walking distance. I also already thought, arriving at the train station, that I just should have stayed or looked for something in Binz, because this place is 20 minutes by a shuttle bus out from the city, and the city is a little bit bigger than this year. This seems a little bit like touristy nowhere, and it's not tourist season, so a lot of things are closed. And like I said, it's raining today, so I don't even know where to go to get some nice coffee. I'm going on a walk after I'm done telling you about what's going on. This is probably the third time I filmed this, by the way, because I can't talk apparently before breakfast. But now I had breakfast, so restarting this. So where was I? Yesterday. I had a nice walk. I came back, and because I was stressed out about the spa and using the spa, because I didn't know what to expect, how to behave, where everything is, that stressed me out. Doing things for the first time is exhausting. The second time is easier because you know where things are. So I promise myself that I at least go downstairs, try it out, and see how it goes. And because I was not sure how to do this, I decided to go swimming first, because one of my stress responses, aside from eating, is exercise. And there's a nice swimming pool down there, and I thought, okay, you can go, then you wear your swimming clothes, and then it's not too awkward moving through the hotel in just a bathrobe. And it was really nice. I got down there, I found everything. The people in the hotel are very nice and helpful, so it's not their fault, it's my fault. And I got to swimming a few rounds, not much, 10 minutes maybe, and then I went into the spa area where the sauna is, and I managed to do that 2 rounds to feel comfortable, and it wasn't crowded. I liked that, so I'm hoping that it isn't crowded tonight, because I figured that that would be a nice thing to do, have a day outside or be active and do stuff, and then use the sauna in the evening. Now, I'm feeling a little bit less stressed about the whole situation, the hotel situation today. I'm also okay with, it's not what I would like a hotel to be, but I'm also not sure if I can find what I wanted, or would have been able to find what I wanted here. Overthinking. Anyways, I got this now. Let's make the best of it. And I did quite a lot of reading, so let's update you on reading. On my walk, I finished The Age of Magical Overthinking, and like I said before, I really enjoyed this. I like that it's looking at cognitive biases, not on the only theoretical side, but putting it into a more modern now context, into current situations, and looking at it in personal ways and also in cultural ways, how we can see how things work there. And I really enjoyed that. If you are familiar with cognitive biases and have read about them or looked into them before, you might recognize a few of the studies and heard of few of the examples before, so that might not be something really new, but I really liked the angle from which she looked at all of this. So highly recommend. The audiobook was really nice as well, even though I think since I blasted through it basically in one go, you might want to take more notes. It's very note takeable, so maybe a physical book if you enjoy taking notes and underlining and highlighting things. That's definitely possible in this book. And after that, I also started another audiobook, The Last Adventure of Constance, Verity. I think that's the title. It's the first in a trilogy, and I listened to another book by the author before and was recently reminded of him. And then the first 2 books in this trilogy are in the Members or Plus catalog on Audible, so they were for free, and I thought it's something nice for the trip, something I don't really have to worry about, not to concentrate on. It's just fantasy. It's so far as I can guess, Constance Verity is a young woman who saves the world all the time, and she's special in that way because her fairy godmother gave her the gift of adventure at her birth. I'm not completely through with that part yet, but she's in her early 20s now, I think, and she's getting bored with having to do all the adventure stuff. So she wants some ordinary life, but that doesn't really work out because she applies for a job, and then all of a sudden the Earth monster or Earth wants to eat everyone, so she has to save the world from the monster that's living in the center of the Earth. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It's pure blast fun. So I'm enjoying that. Then reading wise, I'm a little bit behind my reading plans. I wanted to have finished The House of Doors by now, but I'm barely halfway through. And I am enjoying it, but it's not a fast-paced read. And I've only read it mostly during daytimes and on the weekend. So I am also not completely sure where the book wants to go. I started going in blind, and it's alternating chapters with alternating perspectives and also changing years. So we always know whose perspective we're told from the story part and in what year we are. We start with Leslie's perspective in 1947 when she's in Africa and getting a package for her dead husband. And then we go back to 1921 when she and her husband lived in Penang and events there. They get a visitor, the author W. Somerset Maugham. I should have looked up how to pronounce that. I hope that's the correct one. They always call him Willie. So we're alternating narratives between Leslie and Willie for the first part of the book, completely in 1921, after that first chapter in 1947. And although it is interesting, nothing much happens. It's just basically day-to-day occurrences. They interact, they have their lives, they talk a little bit about events going on and the life of the author, things happening. But I was already thinking, like, where's this going? What is this book doing? What is it about? And then part 2 starts, or the second book. And then we move back to 1910, and Leslie tells Willie the story of her life back then. Her husband Robert and her have also been living in Penang back then. They were still freshly married, had 2 young children, and life was, let's say, good. And then things happened that made Leslie question her marriage, and a friend of hers murdered someone. So there's that to stress with. And then there's also political, let's not say drama, but there's political situations with a Chinese revolutionary whose name I forgot again. And he's also in Penang trying to raise money and find people to support his revolution in China. And that's where I am right now. Leslie telling Willie the story, parts of that, and then sometimes we're moving back to 1921 in between. So I'm guessing there's something more with the revolutionary. Willie suspects Leslie to have an affair with him. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to see where it's going. And so far, I am enjoying it. I read the first book by the author, and I really enjoyed the writing and also the historical context that I had no idea of. I already had to look up the revolutionary and found out some background there, so most of it I forgot again, but at least that's a historical part that's real, and I'm not sure about how much of the connection between the people in this book is real. I didn't look into detail there. Wanted to do that after I finish. But so far I'm enjoying the writing, I'm enjoying the tone of the narration and the alternating chapters. I'm also reading an ebook at night when I can't sleep, and it's the first one in the Tensoret series. I am rereading this because I recently finished book 2, 3, and 4, so the rest of the series in one go, and really enjoyed the writing and the characters and the magic and the world. And I wondered why I never continued with the series before. So I looked up my Goodreads review of the first book, and it's exactly what I remembered. I liked the characters, I liked the writing, but I was confused about the world and what was going on. And I could hardly remember it. So I picked up the first book, The Black Tides of Heaven, I think that's the title, and started reading. And the funny thing there is, I remember the first part, how the children got born and how they got to the monastery and how they ran away. But then I don't remember anything else anymore. And it's fun. I really enjoy this. So the Tensoret series is set in a fantasy world where we have the Protector ruling the world. And Protector sounds nice, but unfortunately she's a cruel dictator. So not so nice. And there's always some rebellions going on. And in the past, the Protector needed some help in dealing with one of those rebellions. The abbot helped them under one condition, and they wanted to have one of the Protectorate's children for their monastery. And they had a person in mind, but they didn't specify, so the Protectorate tricked them and got new children. And instead of one, she got twins, so she was like, you can have both. Take them, I don't want them. And then one of those children turns out to be a prophet, so she wants the prophet back. And because the abbot doesn't want to separate the twins, they're 9 years by that stage, she gives them both. And that's sort of the people where the stories are moving around, the twins. What I like about this world, even though it's a little bit complicated to understand in the first book, I think the other books explain it better, and I don't know why, because it's the first book. But anyways, they have some magic system, sort of, they call slack, and in the slack the tensors can move around water energy, forest energy, or earth energy, and move things and fight and work with that. And they can also use it to heal people. So the slack is sort of a magic that not everybody can access, and the tensors are thus the ruling parts or the powerful parts, and the Protector is of course a tensor. And all of that is really interesting. Additionally, in this world, we also have that people are born genderless, and you can confirm at one point in your life where you want to go, whether you want to be a man or a woman, or if you want to stay genderless, that's also a possibility. And once you confirm your identity, the doctors have some confirmation drugs or whatever to change your body into either female or male body parts. And I really like that idea. So that is all very fascinating. And I also like the characters. Like I said, I'm rereading this and I'm at the part I don't remember, but I highly enjoyed the series, so that's fun. So by now it's about lunchtime. Like I said, it's raining, so I'm not really sure. This morning I started off the day really nice with some yoga. The hotel is really nice. They opened up the exercise room for me and I had it all to myself, so I can do a yoga workout there. Just a 20-minute video, but it was really nice because in the room there, in my hotel room, there's no space for that. After that, I had breakfast, which was also really nice breakfast brunch buffet thing going on. So I'm all fed now and I'm ready to go somewhere. We'll see. I'll talk to you later. I borrowed an umbrella and now I'm going up that hill. I hope it's not as steep as it looks, but I want to go to some famous site for the islet. It's high. I'm too exhausted for mountains, and this is just a hill. Okay, up the hill. And it's a walkway now in a forest. I think the beach is on the other side of that cliff? Am I up cliffs? We'll find out. Okay, that's definitely a dead end. But I was right, cliffs. So I think I'm going down that way. Let's see. More uphill. I have no clue where I am. I'm working on the assumption that there is the beach and this is the direction I want to go. I can't believe this worked. The bridge down there, that's where I want to go. So, back this way. Past this super heavy sightseeing event. It says New King's Chamber. Yep. Ooh, this looks nice. Even in the rain. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm not gonna walk down those stairs to get closer to that, because I have to walk them up again. And no, I think I took a wrong turn. I'm up here in the middle of nowhere, in the forest, and down there I can hear the beach and see the walkway or the promenade that I wanted to get to. I don't think you can see it, but I can see it through the trees. There's a street. Dang. This does not look safe, but it's the way down. Totally counting this as a nature adventure hike. Extra bonus points. Yes, I'm doing good. And down there, can you see it? That's where I need to go. And it doesn't look so bad anymore. I'm going to survive this. Not that I was in any danger anytime. I'm starting to get the feeling that when I would travel, I want to stick to my routines basically and just do them somewhere else. When I came back from my run this morning, which was a lot shorter than it should have been, but I couldn't go longer and the way wasn't longer and I was really exhausted and it was so cold. Even though I had a bath and after breakfast I was still cold, that I went back to bed for another 2 hours and now I'm warmed up, a little bit lazy and tired. And I think I should go somewhere now and do stuff, but yeah, not excited, but I need food. So what do I learn from that? I should have the option of having food on my room, or easily have food closer by. I finished The Black Tides of Heaven this morning, and I really don't remember much of the book from the first reading, regretfully. But it was really nice, and it didn't matter that I read them in the order I read them now, because technically I had read them before. So, let's see if I can even finish The House of Doors today. That would be really good. But first, let's find food. Final day at the beach. I'm heading home in about an hour. But I just wanted to go out for a little walk again and catch you up on my final thoughts of this vacation. I hope you can hear me and it's not too windy to enjoy the waves. Okay, so traveling. I enjoyed this trip. I think it didn't turn out to be what I expected it to be, but probably what I needed, because I learned a lot about what I want to get out of traveling and what I like. I like morning or breakfast buffets, but I don't need them. I noticed that I'd rather have a hotel or accommodation where I can have breakfast on my own in my room and don't have to talk to people and don't be in a crowded room and just sit there and do my morning routine as I would at home. I think I would prefer that. So going forward, I'd have to focus on finding accommodation that gives me the opportunity to do that. Meaning at least a coffee machine or some kind of bowls or breakfast tools around, because I'm happy with my normal cereal breakfast stuff. I also noticed that traveling to a place is a lot more stressful for me than traveling home, so I need to plan more transition times and not make short or unflexible traveling plans when I'm going by train. So that might reduce the stress that I felt this trip with all the cancelled trains and stuff. That would be nice. I also noticed that I thought there was supposed to be a reading retreat where I could get to read a lot, but it turned out to be more of an active vacation because I was outside a lot. And this morning I started swimming, I went down to the pool, and I really liked that, but I didn't read as much as I expected. Unless you count the audiobooks that I listened to while I was out walking, which is nice, of course, but I don't really know how I can go on a reading retreat where I sit down and read, because sitting down is a problem. Another thing I noticed is that I couldn't spend most of my time intentionally.
there was a lot of time where I didn't really know what to do. And I did know what I wanted to do, but I couldn't because the options weren't there in my hotel room or in this area. So I ended up doing things to fill that time, which were nice, but not as intentional as I could have used the time if there were other ways or options available. So I need to consider that when traveling, that I don't end up having time that I cannot use the way I want to or make the most out of, because it felt a little bit like wasting time instead of relaxing or enjoyable. That's what I would like to have. So those are my thoughts on traveling. Reading, I finished listening to the last adventure of Constance, Verity. Enjoyed that. Fun, urban fantasy adventure. It can be read as a standalone, so I'm not sure when I'm going to start with the next book of the trilogy, but it's enjoyable, it's fun, really fast-paced, perfect for what I needed. I have about 20 pages left in The House of Doors, and I noticed that I'm struggling with it because I don't know what it wants to tell me. I feel like I'm missing the point. It is literary fiction, so there must be a theme underlying it, and I can't find it. And so I'm not sure. But I am enjoying it. I am enjoying the part of the revolution. I'm enjoying the parts of the stories about Willie and Leslie, how they are talking about marriages and affairs and relationships and the role of women and of homosexuals. But overall, I don't know what the theme of the book is. So I definitely need to watch reviews of other people to see if I missed something or if they aren't there. Could be. Who knows? And so, anything else? No, I think that's it. I really enjoyed the trip, after all, and I'm glad I took it. I like the beach. Thank you for watching to the end if you lasted this long. Thank you for watching any part. You won't hear that if you haven't listened to the end. Let me know in comments if you read any of the books I read, if you read House of Doors and understood what it was about, or any of the other books. Let me know how you're doing. How are you doing with traveling this year? Are you working on your travel anxiety as well, or having a nice trip planned? Let's talk in comments.